Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. But tonight we have an SCP entry, specifically SCP-895. So, yeah, we're going to have a bit more of a discussion episode where we talk about an SCP entry and how it can be used in a game scenario for like tabletop role playing, or in even like a story idea for it. Because SCP entries are generally pretty short form and like done up in a formal way. So we'll talk a little bit about the entry itself, but most of the content is going to be about like how we can use it as like a seedling for something. So yeah, SCP-895. Just a quick rundown, like super streamlined here, because it's a Euclid class, which are anomalies that require more resources to contain completely, or where containment isn't always reliable. Usually, this is because the SCP is insufficiently understood or inherently unpredictable. Euclid is the object class with the greatest scope, and it's usually a safe bet that an SCP will be this class if it doesn't fall into any of the other standard object classes. And SCP-895 specifically is an ornate oak coffin that, while appears normally like empty and vacant and like completely standard while in physical presence of people, anyone surveying it, the object, via video or photography experience extreme and often volatile hallucinations of and around the subject. And it's currently being contained in a subterranean bunker chamber about 100 meters below the surface. That's about it. That's about the gist of the SCP. There is a
you forgot to mention that those that did view it got data expunged.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they were just expunged from data.
They got expunged real good.
There is an addendum where like it shows basically it's an audio excerpt or transcript of like when they recovered it, and they went and like Team 1 went into the funeral home or mortuary and recovered the item while Command was watching through video surveillance. And basically Team 1 was fine when they were recovering it. Like the team that was sent into the mortuary itself physically reported nothing out of the ordinary and reported that the box was in fact empty when they opened up the cask with guns like ready to like gun down whatever was in it. Yeah. And yeah, there's nothing there. But however, when they tried to report back to Command, who's watching the whole event through cameras, they discovered that Command had gone like completely nuts or like and had been redacted. Like they heard screaming from their comm links and stuff, and they're like, "Fuck it, like close that damn thing, and we're bugging out," kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's that's basically the entry in terms of its contents, and the entry actually has a security feed of the containment unit, the containment area, from I guess a safe distance.
Says it's 30 meters.
Yeah.
It's a live feed, actually.
Yeah, it's a live feed, yeah.
With like a ticking timer and the date that you're looking at it on.
Yep. So that's the rundown. So I guess we'll jump into actual thoughts. My first thing is actually with the photo in the wiki entry. And I really like how they set it up. It almost appears to be. I think it's. They have it like set up to like cycle through different like photoshopped images that then transition with a like a light fade or like the lights failing inside of the chamber. Yeah. Like that's how they figured out like they've gotten a decent enough transition for like basically fading in between images to do that. to show like graphic things appearing and disappearing around the coffin. Like there's blood splatters on the walls. There's a mysterious figure in one of the doorways. There's like a severed head on the chair that's in the corner.
Like writing like "get out" all over it or whatever.
Yeah, and then there's even like at one point, I think the first one I saw was there's like a pit to hell in the bottom of the concrete. So, yeah, they've gotten like this really nice, cool idea for that, and then a whole while that's going on, they've actually added in a real time date and time header or like interface kind of thing at the bottom of it to show this Cam 6, and then like they have like an actual like I said, real time or active date and time, so that it looks like it's a live feed of that chamber. So it adds to it's a very nice, creepy and eerie immersion thing to the entry. That said, my issue with it is that I feel like it should be covered up. And like the web user, like whoever's like who goes to the entry, has to click on it to access via clearance, kind of thing, like how there are in other pieces of sensitive material on the wiki. Especially given that the object's effects on viewers of surveillance mediums is its primary hazard. That said, it is apparently at a safe distance from the coffin's influence or sphere of influence, but
I can fix everything right
yes,
now.
Sure.
It only affects you when you open it.
What?
It only affects you when it's opened.
Oh, maybe, yeah, that could be it.
Team went in,
yeah.
They saw it, and then like.
So,
yeah, like,
all the crazy weird.
The command team was seeing it move and seeing weird shit, but they weren't bitching about it.
Yeah, that's
saying
true.
Like, "Oh God, I'm dying!" But as soon as they opened it, that's when they were getting killed.
Yeah, they were seeing weird shit, but they weren't in harm's way. It wasn't until they opened it that like the thing basically came out, I guess, through the TV screen and attacked them. Which I mean is definitely a good idea.
So like, if there was a scientist that was going to like examine the inside of it, he would be turning the cameras off, going and examining it.
Yeah, because apparently he can't harm you if you are looking, or if you're in there in meat space, which I do think is actually kind of appropriate for our current recording circumstances.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of
went fast.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's that's my notes on the photo for the wiki entry. Do you guys have anything extra for the photo?
It adds to the immersion.
Yeah.
Yeah, aside from me just queuing sorry, not queuing in. Jumping in with the it has to be open to hurt you deal. No.
Yeah. Okay. Then I guess I'll jump into my kitchen segment. So it's a pretty neat and simple horror premise, and kind of appropriate, like I said, for our current situation and the current times. The whole remote viewing technology situation that we have to deal with nowadays. For a story, you could have a mortician, a coroner, or even a security guard tasked with checking the tapes or videos of the area it's residing in, or even upon its arrival to said mortuary, start seeing things that aren't there outside of the tapes and start questioning their sanity, like kind of for a psychological horror kind of thing. Like, am I going nuts? Like have like the guy who has to in charge of like the security company or service that the mortuary hires, and they start seeing weird shit around the mortuary on their recordings and on their surveillance stuff. But when they go to investigate, they're not finding anything, and so they're starting to like question what they're seeing. Right? I could even see, and this one would work for a story or a game idea, that a group of urban explorers venture into an abandoned or closed down mortuary or funeral home, and start seeing some weird, horrific things that start wrenching at their sanity, like super hard. That's only visible through the video feed. So like they're going through the building with their camera, and only when they're using their camera does the weird shit start happening. And you could construct a table of like random events that occur around the object through the supposed safety lens of the camera feed. If you were going to use this for like a game, like I could see like this being done in Little Fears, in Esoterrorist, or Fear itself. Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green could work as well, obviously. And yeah, basically just have all the scary stuff happen whenever the players are using a camera. And then have it and then even like if maybe even have like the some instance where like the coffin looks like it's ajar, and like get either one of the main people or an NPC curiously open up the coffin, and that's when the stuff starts happening for reals, or not maybe for reals, like it starts happening around them. But I think it would also make more sense for this using this SCP entry if it came through the lens and actually started affecting them physically rather than psychologically. That way, it gives you more of a visceral means of horror than just the psychological one.
For all we know, it is like physical. All we know is that data expunged happens.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like based on what it says or what it doesn't say in the entry, it could be that it's a Samara situation where like the creature that's inside can't be seen from like using your eyes, like strictly your eyes, but it requires a second-hand medium to see. So maybe even mirrors do the same thing. Like you look through you look at the object in a mirror and you start seeing weird shit. Like that actually kind of plays on traditional spooky ghost story stuff, where like somebody like weird things happen in a mirror, and then when you look around like to the actual room, there's nothing weird or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, like have it when the coffin gets opened. That's when the creature basically like starts lashing out through the lens of the camera itself, and like makes it basically summons it into the real world. But yeah, so that's honestly my ideas for a kitchen scenario for either a story or a game, is play on that the psychological horror of like not being able to trust the cameras, like these like unbiased viewports of surveillance, and drive the characters nuts through that, and like have them question their own reality, or have it be like a bunch of kids going into an abandoned or closed down hospital. Like most of my idea stuff stems from like the events prior to it being contained, because I feel like that is where its strength is, because otherwise it's just locked away in a 100-meter deep hole.
It doesn't have to end there, because if they're planning on doing tests on it and trying to find out what makes it tick and like how to counteract it and stuff, there's going to be tests and death through test results.
Yeah, as always. Yeah. And maybe it like the camera entry, the camera feed is currently set up to like 30 meters away from it as a safety zone. But what if the safety zone like hasn't the safety zone is already kind of like it's budged a couple of times. Like it was originally set to 5 meters, and then they bumped it up to 10 meters, and now it's at 30 meters. So, like maybe like what happens when it grows its influence again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you have a monster loose in the facility, and you're an SCP entity or SCP agent trying to get away from it or contain it. But yeah, Mikey, do you have anything for the kitchen or actual thoughts?
Well, my thoughts for the kitchen would put it on more of a grand scale. So, say a celebrity found this coffin and decided to use it.
Oh God!
And they have a televised funeral.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In this day and age, yeah. Yeah, in the day and age of reality TV, I could see that. I could even see that like some like maybe its reputation, it still has a reputation of being like eerie, because like people get weird, like sense weird things, or like they get like there's some small indirect stuff. So it harkens the attention of, say, a certain ghost adventurer who has a certain haunted museum in Las Vegas. His name starts with a Z, and his last name starts with a B.
Right.
Zach Baggins from Ghost
okay.
Adventures.
No,
He's got a museum of like all his haunted like artifacts that he's acquired through his TV show and like through his journey to prove that the ghosts exist. He's the ghost bro guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if he takes one of the he finds this coffin like and like follows some of the stories of it, puts it into his museum, and now we have either again a security guard scenario where who's like a guy in charge of watching the museum, or better yet, because it's Zach Baggins, or you'd use an affiliate or use an analog type character for him. He's got like some of his artifacts streaming on like a Twitch site or something for that you can like pay to check out and see. And so basically you're paying to get like have a monster summoned to your house.
Yup, pretty much.
Yeah. And then at that point, you could even, with that seedling idea, you could even have it like be, you could be detectives or a police enforcer or like some kind of police agents investigating strange murders. And all the link between all of them is that were checking out this Twitch stream before they died.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, that's a good idea there, Mikey. The celebrity angle.
And another way would be to take it back in time. So when the advent of technology is becoming more prevalent, and it hasn't affected anyone yet.
Yeah. Well, the thing with this is like you could have it that like it requires a secondhand visualization. So like mirrors, like I said earlier, would be the old school way of like basically summoning it, and it could even have been the inspiration for like those like stories of like saying something in the mirror like a couple of times. And yeah, like, or even like again, like it was fine until like somebody decided to like take because you see some of those like old Western photography shots of like the coffin maker or the undertaker, and like all the coffins that are like laid out outside of his business. It could be like one of those guys wants to take a photo for his for like advertisement, like for like a new type of advertisement thing in like some old Western town, and then suddenly you've got a Weird West scenario going where the creatures coming through that single photo that's being used as an advertisement. Well, were there any other ideas like for like the pre-camera age though there, Mikey?
Well, the original sort of thought is like you have your coffin maker, and he could be like mass producing these things.
Oh no!
But nobody knows that they do the things they do because technology still is.
It's still really new, like the burgeoning thing. Yeah. Also, maybe even the Undertaker himself doesn't even know. Like maybe he just it just happened to be that like he's making these out of of wood from a certain tree. Oh, okay. So like again, this entry doesn't have a lot of a lot of any kind of information as to its origin or anything like that, because a lot of it's and most of it would have been redacted. Yeah. But you could give it like your own spin on like its origin. Like maybe the Undertaker got the wood, like this really good looking wood, but on the cheap, because the person that gave it to him got it from a tree that was used a lot as a hangman's tree. So it's gotten like supernatural properties as a result of all the death that it has been immersed in. Like it's a gallows tree.
Yeah, that could be some nice backstory.
Yeah. That's kind of one of my things with the story is like, because there's not a lot of information presented as to what it is. It's really just a core concept of a seed idea of a spooky thing. it lends itself for somebody who's of a creative mind to kind of come up with all the blank, or basically fill in all of the blanks, like all the white space around it. So, and that's one of the reasons I like it. Because I get to like come up with all the different kind of, it gets my brain juices working on like, and bubbling to figure out like, well, who created this thing? Why is it weird? Like, why is it supernatural? So.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all the things that I came up with.
All right. And Gamer?
What, just like in the notes?
Yeah. Actual thoughts or kitchen stuff or anything like that. Like,
I talked about the first thing. Yeah.
We have to pad this one out a little bit longer.
Maybe my first two were like talking about the same thing, honestly.
Shit.
My first note is just, it's a live feed. That's cool for immersion. Neat. Then the second one well, I'm a live camera feed. That means, like, I don't want to be that expunged, though, but it's not open, so it's fine. So really, the only other thing is just, I liked the short excerpt between the recovery team and HQ. The back and forth talking about the different things they're seeing is great, and it feels natural. Like Command telling the people who are there what they're seeing on the feed doesn't seem forced. It's not like they're like, yeah, Command, we understand, we can see. Like, it's almost like it's already set up that they do this on a regular basis because of the weird shit that they look at.
Yeah, it was actually done well in terms of like making it feel natural.
But that's about it for my notes, or at least what's left of them.
Great. Well, like the SCP entry. yeah. Like the SCP entry, this is going to be a rather short episode, probably. Was there anything like we can come up with for more kitchen stuff for it, like story or game idea stuff? No.
Well, you could almost tie it to a crypt of some kind.
Yeah. You could again, borrowing the idea of urban explorers or something like that. Have some graveyard, some folks that are like going through graveyards and like using the Ouija board or something like that, or just recording themselves, because there's tons of YouTube channels of people that work as a security guard or that go into graveyards at night to see if they can spot a ghost, and like what happens when you come across a crypt that happens to be like the gates are opened to the crypt, and there's just this casket in the middle of the crypt, and it's like slightly ajar, and when you open it, oh god, there's nothing in it, but when your camera looks at it, there's something horrifying.
Pretty much.
Yep. Like I could see some ideas for that. I am liking the idea of the Undertaker and the Hangman's wood. That sounded wrong. Hang on. I mean, the Hangman's tree, where he got the wood from.
Did you say it cut out?
I said the Hangman's wood. Yeah.
I didn't take it that way, but that's fine.
That's fair. But yeah, like there is a lot of, again, white space in the story that you really have to kind of like come up with your own stuff for it. And I mean, again, like we've all kind of come up with some ideas for it. Like Mikey, you came up with the celebrity angle, and the old Western kind of setting for it, like before or when technology wasn't that advanced.
Mediums it can't be still in the same canon. Like that's what happened back in the oldie days. But then it got dug up later on and used.
Yep, like
in a live recording of someone famous's funeral.
Yeah, or like somebody, like they dig it up and it's like still in pristine condition, like it's not decayed or been wormwood at all. And so you again, like it garners a reputation of being creepy and spooky, because why is this like 100-year-old coffin still in pristine condition even though we've pulled it out of the ground? I'm pretty sure that's also a thing that people do. Like they dig up old coffins and like put their family's remains in new coffins. or something like that. So you could even have like a mystery going on with that. Is like somebody hires on one of those groups or those teams to dig up the coffin under the pretense that like it's for a family being that wants to have their family's remains like put in interred in a new coffin. And when they pull up the coffin, there's nothing in the coffin. And it's what's more is it's 100 years old, but it's in pristine condition. And you're like, what the fuck? So we could have a situation like that.
That can happen with this.
Yeah, and then like have like they take a photo of it like just to send to somebody, and they get a message back like, what the fuck did you just send me? What? That's just super disgusting. Holy shit! And then they're like, what? And then they check the photo. It's like, holy shit! What the fuck is that? And then like roll sand.
Pretty much.
Or and because they're like right up to it, like, and they're using the camera, like it just comes out of their phone and starts attacking them. The creature, or the horror behind the casket. And then, like you said, it could be part of the same kind of canon. So you could have like basically a mini campaign of just different time periods that this thing has existed in that has sparked troubles, like the old the Undertaker scenario, and then a scenario maybe in like the mid 70s or something like that, where they're pulling up the coffin for some reason. And then you also get the thing of like, what if like they were the grave people were called in under false pretenses, like somebody was in the know about this thing's like horrid past. Maybe the Undertaker is some kind of necromancer or lich, and he's having the coffin resurface or something like that.
On purpose, yeah.
Hell, maybe it's a vampire's coffin, because you've got the whole thing about vampires where they can't see their reflection. Well, what if it's a reverse vampire? Where it can't influence you can't see it with your naked eye, and it can't harm you unless you use a reflective surface or a secondary medium. So suddenly you've got basically a reverse vampire. Or a reverse ocular vampire. I really like that idea now. Just
it's something that you don't see in the real world,
but only through cameras.
Your eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you require a secondary source, and unfortunately, it's more of a detriment to you, because it won't harm you. It's like look into the void looks back into you, or like once you see something, it can see you, and it can influence you as much as you can influence it. Kind of from like the Tillinghast experiment from Beyond in Lovecraft's story, where they activate this resonator that like tickles some part of your brain that allows you to sense extra sensory things, and you're able to see the parallel universe that's like laced right on top of ours. So you're able to see the creatures that are just floating in their space, invisibly in our space. And then suddenly they become aware of us, and they're predatory creatures, so they start trying to eat us. So again, similar thing to like the whole like reverse vampire idea. Yeah, no, I like that idea. And then have the scenario start off with the Undertaker in the West, where that's where the origin of the coffins kind of comes from. Then like have one in the modern day where it's either like maybe it's the crypt diggers pulling it up and finding out that it's all empty, and they take some photos to like report back to the client, and the client's in the know of the spooky thing, so he just like basically gets rid of, like cuts the phone, and oh, that's weird, we're not getting a message. Hey, what's this photo? Oh god, what's in the photo? And then it summons and stuff like that. And then you have like a more modern or even further timeline scenario where it's some kids or even that celebrity ghost adventure dude who's like found the object and is putting it in his museum, and now it's causing all issues because of the surveillance cameras. But yeah, that's really all there is to this SCP entry. And unless anybody else, you guys have any ideas further for it?
No.
Okay. Then I guess we'll go into final thoughts. Again, whoever listening, apologies for this one being a really short one, but this was a really short SCP entry, and we're still trying to survive quarantine. So, so for my final thoughts for this one, yeah, it's a really short, creepy concept piece. Lots of white space, and doesn't eat up a lot of your time at all. But if you're imaginative enough, it does give room to build a supposition as to its nature, and even supply creative fodder from its core subject. So for those reasons, like for the intent of like using it as a seed for like a game, like an RPG game, or for your own story idea that you want like a neat, like creepy little concept, I'd say go with, I'd recommend this one. So Mikey, your recommendations?
Well, it's short. The addendum was, as we stated earlier, rather well done. And I mean, yeah, we typically like longer stories, but this one lends itself to being used elsewhere, like in a bigger story or gamified.
Yeah, game fodder.
So I'll go with recommending.
Okay. And gamer?
I'll recommend it as well. I really like seeing the live feed at the top as soon as I got into reading it.
Yeah, I really thought that was a creative way to do it. I didn't realize it was actually like as in depth of a creative thing as it was until like I started looking at it a little bit longer.
But even if it was just the static image with the timer, that's enough.
Yeah.
But it does cause hallucinations to people viewing it, so it's awesome that that's added in as well.
Yeah.
But I like the interesting contrast of it being harmless to people in meat space and data expunged to those that in tech that view it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do wonder what the hell happens.
Well, we heard screaming and retching from the camera feed before they were data expunged. So it lends you to it. It's one of the things of horror. It's like sometimes the best thing, the most horrific things are what the reader insinuates.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to horror, so like by leaving something semi-vague, it allows your brain to come up with the most horrific thing that you can think.
No matter what they tell you, it's not going to be as good as what you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. By doing the, usually it's like by describing a few small things and then leaving the rest for you to come up with, or by doing like data expunged. It's like what the fuck happened to them? Like holy god! Like
they can't just tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not just like, and they passed out and woke up and they're fine. Because that wouldn't be data expunged.
They woke up with a popsicle stick in the mouth. Unfortunately, the popsicle stick was in their head, not their mouth, or went through their mouth.
Yes. And out the back of their head.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they woke up dead.
Yeah, pretty much. I like that there's precautions set up in meat space. With some of these, there's just no precautions or very little, so it pulls me out of it. But it's good to see that there are some in this.
Yeah.
Even though it's shown that like no one's being hurt in real life, they're still putting a physical like barrier around getting close to it. Just because I guess also because they don't want people opening it. So it's good reason to enforce like just stay away from it.
Yeah, just don't. Just don't bother. Like we're just gonna set this camera up within the safety zones. You're gonna see some shit. Also, I like how they added like they've reduced security shifts to 4 hours. So like it was like, you know what, this is really stressful. Like just take just do this for a couple of hours, and then like go see some therapy, because you're gonna see some weird shit on those camera feeds, but they're not actually happening.
Yeah, for me the immersion's very high on this one, so my recommendation is also very high because if it keeps me immersed, then I like it. So yeah,
which is kind of surprising because it is such a short SCP entry, like, but it's Yeah, exactly. It's short but sweet. That's what I was actually going to say earlier. Yeah, no, 100%. And I just love that idea of like coming up with the reverse vampire theory. Because vampires also have like a psychic, can also have are capable of psychic attacks. So because it can see us through the secondhand visualization, it's able to like basically make psychic contact with us and like screw with our heads with the hallucinations.
It's almost a little bit like I think it's called No Face. The guy where like if you look at him, he just fucking murders you. Like if you look at a picture of him, he'll just run to you and kill you.
No Face?
No Face.
What's it from?
It's an SCP.
Oh, right. Okay.
He's like locked away, and then they had a guy underwater in a tank, and they.
Right, Shy Guy.
Oh yeah. Okay. What was
that was the SCP entry we did back in January, or like sometime in the around the New Year.
I think I was confusing it with No Through Road.
Oh, that's probably right. Yeah.
That guy's referred to as No Face, but yeah, it's sort of like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cute.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah, it's another it's almost like a reverse Medusa, or it's like another kind of entity that is like Medusa or a basilisk kind of entity where like by seeing it you're fucked. And it's usually through it can be like for this one it's through just indirect mediums, but with the Shy Guy, it's anytime you see its face, it's like that one. Like this is a reverse vampire. That one was a reverse Gorgon, or maybe just a Gorgon, because
I don't know if it's reversed.
Maybe a berserker Gorgon. I don't know.
Like instead of turning to stone, it goes nuts. It goes into wood rage to kill you.
Yeah, fair. But yeah. So yeah, I guess that was this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, if you're pissed off that it was really short, you can leave us a comment in the comment section below. Whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. You can also contact us on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without the W because his name is too damn long. I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Or you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. You can also support us financially. You can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content, all that kind of stuff. To our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories and entries, which I had not mentioned who posted this one. SCP-895 was posted on the SCP Wiki in 2010 by Aelanna, Aelanna. Thank you guys immensely, because without your listenership, we really wouldn't have much of a show. And with your authorship and your story entries and what have you that you've posted and flung into the internet ether, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we wouldn't have anything to read, enjoy, and talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.